different charges. His ouster has sparked nationwide celebrations, marking the climax of months of political turmoil in one of Asia's most advanced democracies. Listen in.
이번 결정을 납득할 수가 없습니다. 8대0 만장일치 인용이라는 결정이 나온 것인데 여기 계신 많은 분들이 그런 결과를 예상하지 못했던 결정적인 이유는 재판 과정이 너무나도 졸속으로 이루어졌다. 대통령의 방어권이 제대로 보장되지 못한 부분들, 또 국회의 탄핵소추 절차 과정이 매끄럽지 못했던 부분들, 그리고 이 개헌과 관련해서 제기됐던 증언이라던가 증거에 관련해서 이것이 조작이 되었다, 신뢰할 수 없다라는 많은 정황들이 있습니다. 근데 오늘 헌법재판관들은 이러한 부분에 대해서 일방적인 결정을 내렸습니다.
Yeah, I'm very happy. It's because the impeachment passed, but the judges said everything about what people want. That's what we have been told. So I'm so proud of our country's constitution. I'm very, very proud of.
The head of Myanmar's military junta was in Thailand for a regional summit, making a rare international trip as his country recovers from a devastating earthquake that has killed thousands. Senior General Min Aung Hlaing has been shunned by much of the West for overthrowing the democratically elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi and subsequent brutal repression, but he had a meeting with the PM Modi. It was their first bilateral together. The meeting comes as India continues its relief operations in Myanmar following the devastating earthquake last Friday. PM Modi, meanwhile, has disclosed that they also discussed bilateral relations between India and Myanmar, particularly in sectors like connectivity, capacity building, infrastructure development, to name a few. Staying with Myanmar, India's National Disaster Response Force, or the NDRF, is actively leading the efforts as part of Operation Brahma. The NDRF team consists of 80 personnel supported by 4 specially trained canines and advanced equipment for rigging, lifting, cutting, and even bridging. Now, the NDRF has recovered around 30 bodies, including 15 bodies specifically from the rubble in Mandalay. Extreme heat and heavy rain in Myanmar could cause disease outbreaks among earthquake survivors camping in the open. This has been global aid bodies have warned this on Thursday, further complicating, in fact, rescue efforts made difficult by a civil war as the death toll surpasses 3,000. Now, last Friday's 7.7 magnitude quake, one of the country's strongest in a century, jolted a region home to 28 million, toppling buildings such as hospitals, flattening communities, and leaving many without food, water, and shelter. And after attending the BIMSTEC summit, PM Narendra Modi is headed to Sri Lanka for a 3-day state visit at the invitation of President Anura Kumara Dissanayake. Now, PM Modi is the first, in fact, world leader to be hosted by President Dissanayake since he took office. This will be PM Modi's 4th visit to Sri Lanka as Prime Minister. Earlier, President Dissanayake had made India his first foreign visit after assuming charge. India and Sri Lanka share deep historical and cultural ties, making Colombo an integral part of India's neighborhood-first policy. Now, key agreements are also expected in sectors like energy, digitization, and security, with New Delhi also pushing for defense cooperation deal. Now, the talks will also include India's plans to supply LNG and develop a regional energy hub in Tricomlés, where it competes with China's Sinopec, which is investing around $3.2 billion in an oil refinery in Hambantota. Now, the visit is expected to focus on trade, energy cooperation, and regional security. My colleague Gauri Dwivedi joins us from Colombo. Gauri, the visit comes amid Colombo's seeming China tilt. Maritime security, of course, as we know, is one of the top priorities in focus. What else are you picking up from the ground?
So, of course, maritime security is one of the most important aspects of this partnership. But there are 3 very important layers to this visit, and which is why it assumes significance. One is that the Sri Lanka relationship is extremely important to India because of the location of Sri Lanka, the fact that there's been a heavy and growing Chinese interest in this region, the fact that there have been increasing Chinese interest in terms of large-scale projects. We saw that during the Rajapaksa tenure. We saw the downhill that happened for the Sri Lankan economy. And since AKD's dramatic rise last year and his presidency, India and Sri Lanka have been looking to really build up their relationship both on the economic side, the strategic side and the defense side. There have been talks about a possible defense pact. If that does take shape in whatever form, we are yet to get any concrete details as to what it could be, if at all. But if it does happen, that could really reshape this entire Indo-Pacific region, particularly the Indian Ocean region. And you could see a lot closer collaboration between India and Sri Lanka, maritime security being one, but research and development around these aspects being the other.
The research and development, rightly so, being the other major topic for discussion. Gauri, Sri Lanka is also, in fact, keen to attract foreign investment to stabilize its economy after we know the 2022 financial crisis. India, New Delhi, has already provided $4 billion in financial assistance. Now, at this time, how important is this visit for Colombo and the Sanaike's government and the economy?
Mr. Dissanayake has come on a lot of promise and he needs to deliver on really changing the economic landscape for the average Sri Lankans. The reason why he came to power is because of the kind of economic downturn that the average Sri Lankan saw. And during that time, it was Indian assistance, Indian aid, Indian grants that really helped the worst of Sri Lanka to really tide it over, not the Chinese loans. And that distinction came out very clearly for the Sri Lankan policymakers, the government officials and a lot of people, the common Sri Lankan as well. So all of that is what is leading into this visit, where the next phase will see a lot more economic partnerships. In fact, Prime Minister Modi is going to be inaugurating some important projects, including power as well as railway line projects with Indian assistance. So the fact that India is providing economic stability and security to Colombo is well known, established and really strengthened during the 2022 economic crisis that Colombo faced. And I feel that this visit right now will only strengthen that further. Some of those projects actually could really reshape Sri Lanka's key areas, northeastern part, southern part, all of that with India's investments and aid. So I think economic partnership going forward could really strengthen after Prime Minister Modi's visit here.
Thank you so much for laying down the framework, Gauri. And of course, our executive editor, Gauri Dwivedi, will keep on getting us the latest updates, the latest on-ground updates throughout the PM's visit. Moving on, a major shakeup at the top of America's spy agency. NSA Director General Timothy Hall and his deputy Wendy Noble have both been dismissed from their posts. The White House hasn't offered a reason for the abrupt move, but it's already drawing sharp criticism. Now, Hall, a 30-year Air Force veteran, had led both the NSA and the US Cyber Command since 2024. Meanwhile, his deputy Noble was the NSA's most senior civilian. Now, critics, including top Democrats, are calling the firings unprecedented and deeply disturbing. They're also, in fact, warning of political interference in the country's most powerful intelligence agency. US stock markets have plunged after President Donald Trump's drastic tariffs ignited fears of wider economic turmoil. The S&P 500 notched its biggest drop since 2020 as investors came to terms with the scope of Trump's assault on global trade. Meanwhile, major companies like Nike, Apple and Target also saw sharp losses. In fact, Apple, which relies on overseas production, lost more than $300 billion in market value, its largest single-day wipeout ever on record. Meanwhile, commodity prices also slumped and the dollar wiped out all of its post-election gains. The trade salvo led economists to slash their growth projections for the US. Some, in fact, now predict a recession this year and hiked inflation forecasts. Trump defended his move, saying it would boost the economy, but China and the EU have vowed retaliation, warning of higher duties on American goods. Meanwhile, the World Trade Organization, or the WTO, expressed concern, predicting a 1% drop in global trade volumes. Meanwhile, on the sidelines, traders are fearing that the tariffs could very well stoke inflation and slow growth. But the American president, of course, he says he's continuing with his approach and the markets will eventually boom. Indian pharma stocks crashed after US President Donald Trump warned of unprecedented tariffs on the sector. Shares of Aurobindo Pharma, ITCA Laboratories and Lupin dropped up to 10%, while others fell between 4 and 9%. Now, Trump's announcement comes as the US investigates pharma imports under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, citing national security concerns. The sector had seen a temporary exemption from tariffs, but Trump has now hinted at strict measures ahead. Meanwhile, analysts warn that companies may struggle to, in fact, pass on costs impacting the entire supply chain. Listen in.
The pharma is going to be starting to come in, I think, at a level that you haven't really seen before. We are looking at pharma right now, pharmaceuticals, as a separate category. And we'll be announcing that sometime in the near future, not too distant future. That's under review right now.
Are you negotiating with partners currently?
What we have is we have a set of tariffs based on what they've been charging us. That's reciprocal. And those tariffs have come in and every country's called us. That's the beauty of what we do. We put ourselves in the driver's seat. If we would have asked some of these countries, almost most of these countries, to do us a favor, they would have said no. Now they'll do anything for us. But we have tariffs, they've been set, and it's going to make our country very rich.
Donald Trump has suggested that China could receive tariff relief as if it approves a deal for TikTok's sale to a non-Chinese buyer. Speaking on board Air Force One, Trump used TikTok as an example, in fact, of how tariffs can be leveraged in negotiations. The app faces an April 5 deadline to finalize a sale or risk being banned in the US. Now, Trump's comments come a day after announcing sweeping tariffs, including a 54% duty on Chinese imports. A federal judge has temporarily blocked Donald Trump's administration from cutting more than $11 billion in public health grants allocated to U.S. states during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the ruling by U.S. District Judge Mary S. McElroy in Rhode Island bars the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and its agencies as well from implementing the cuts while the litigation still plays out. The grant funding was used by states to track, prevent and control infectious diseases, including measles and bird flu, as well as track mental health services and fund addiction treatment. Republican Senator Chuck Grassley has introduced a bill requiring congressional approval for new tariffs just a day after Donald Trump announced sweeping import taxes. The Bipartisan Trade Review Act of 2025 would block tariffs unless Congress signs off within 60 days of them being announced. This move signals growing dissent among Republicans as some lawmakers worry about economic fallout and impacts on allies like Israel. However, with Republicans controlling both chambers of Congress, the bill is unlikely to pass. Trump argues that the tariffs will in fact boost federal revenue and bring manufacturing back to the U.S., but economists remain skeptical. A deadly storm system sweeping across the U.S. from Texas all the way to Ohio has killed at least 7 people and left 13 others injured. Now, tornadoes have hit areas in Tennessee, Mississippi, and other states in the United States. The National Weather Service, meanwhile, has warned of generational floods in the U.S. South and Midwest as tornadoes swept the country from Texas to Michigan. About 15 million people, that's correct, around 15 million people are under tornado watches from Ohio to Mississippi, and nearly 6 million are under the watch, including people from Nashville, Tennessee, and Mississippi. And it's time we step into a short break. I'll see you on the other side.
I think that there's something that's always there that I just need to uncover. Like, I know I'm gonna get there, but I have to be patient with myself. That's probably the scary part for me. And it's okay, like, if you completely pivot and change. You know, you have to be comfortable with that.
For Manu, every step is agony. But he's forced to carry heavy loads and bricks up narrow, steep flights of stairs, hour after hour, day after day. Life can be cruel and short for hard-working donkeys like Manu. With little food, water, or rest, they must keep going no matter what. Crude harnesses cut into their flesh. Horrific wounds and injuries go untreated. And when they've given all they can, many will simply be abandoned. You could help us treat more sick and injured donkeys. We won't stop until each one has a good life. But we can't do it without you. So please call 0800 035 9305 or text STEP6 to 78866 and give £2 a month. Your help will be the first step towards a better life for brave donkeys like Manu.
Nothing beats a celebration. And at Tesco Mobile, we're ringing in 30 years of Club Card with deals like the awesome new Samsung Galaxy A56 with 12 gigs of data for just £27.99 a month with Club Card prices, saving you £144. Better yet, that price is frozen for the duration of your contract. And you can even bag a £30 Tesco gift card too. It pays to be connected. Search Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Wouldn't life be so much easier if you could control your blinds at the touch of a button? With Ultra Smart Blinds from Appeal, there's no chains, cords or wiring because these stylish blinds are driven by a rechargeable power pack. New Ultra Smart Blinds from Appeal, the intelligent solution for home shading.
Goldbank London, your #1 place for buying and selling gold. Visit goldbank.co.uk or call 0203 500 1111.
We know travel can be confusing. That's why I use travelup.com. Compare and book over 100 airlines and thousands of hotels. And while you're away, TravelUp has you covered. Get flight updates on delays and cancellations in a way that suits you. TravelUp provides this for over 100 airlines. So there's no need to have multiple travel apps on your phone. Book now on travelup.com or call 0207 580 5000. TravelUp. Flights, hotels, holidays.
Welcome back. You're watching The World Report with me, Arjun Samar Mahindran. On to some business news now. Countries across the globe are condemning President Donald Trump's new tariffs, warning of an escalating trade war. The 10% baseline tariff on all imports is expected to drive up prices for American consumers, with high-end iPhones potentially costing $2,300 if Apple passes the costs along. Now, the impact is also hitting businesses. Automaker Stellantis is laying off US workers and closing plants in Canada and Mexico, while General Motors, or GM, has announced that it will increase US production to counter these effects. Elon Musk Tesla is facing one of its worst years yet. Quarterly sales have dropped by 13%, marking its weakest performance in nearly 3 years. Tesla stock has plummeted 45%, and analysts at Deutsche Bank predict a further 5% decline in 2025. CEO Elon Musk, meanwhile, remains optimistic about recovery, but concerns are growing over brand image, aging vehicle models, and rising competition, especially from China's BYD. Additionally, Musk's political involvement and ties to Donald Trump are fueling investor fears as well. Intel and Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company have reportedly tentatively agreed to form a joint venture to manage Intel's factories. TSMC is expected to take a 20% stake in the new company following US government's pressure to help Intel recover from financial struggles. The company has faced setbacks in AI-driven semiconductor boom, reporting an $18.8 billion net loss in 2024. Meanwhile, TSMC is investing $100 billion in new chip US facilities. Auto giant Nissan has announced it will stop taking US orders for two Mexican-built Infiniti SUVs, QX50 and the QX55. Now, this move or development comes following President Donald Trump's new 25% auto tariffs. The move signals a major shift in Nissan's operations as the Japanese automaker has been struggling in the US market. The tariffs, which took effect on the 4th of April, hit Nissan particularly hard since it exports most of its cars it manufactures from Mexico to the US, among other Japanese automakers. Meanwhile, the company is also scaling back production shifts at its Tennessee plants. In the world of F1, McLaren's Lando Norris dominated the first practice session ahead of the Japanese Grand Prix, setting the fastest lap time. Yuki Tsunoda, making his debut in a Red Bull car, impressed, in fact, with a 6th place finish, trailing his teammate Max Verstappen by just a fraction of a second. However, Red Bull still lagged behind McLaren, with Verstappen's lap time more than 0.5 seconds or half a second slower than Lando Norris. 20 top tennis players, including Novak Djokovic, Yannick Sinner, Arya Sabalenka, and of course Coco Gauff, have signed a letter demanding high prize money and more influence in the Grand Slam decisions. Now, the letter, dated March 21st, has been sent to the heads of the Australian Open, the French Open, Wimbledon, and even the US Open. The players are also seeking an in-person meeting at this month's Madrid Open to discuss their concerns. Moving on, Sam Ryder is leading the 2025 Texas Open golf tournament, holding a one-shot lead over rival Keith Mitchell. Now, Ryder, who withdrew from the Pro-Am event earlier due to neck strain, said resting was the right call. Having made the cut in every tournament since he's played, Ryder is now eyeing his first ever PGA Tour win. And as they prepare for their historic space flight, the all-female crew of Blue Origin posed for a digital cover shoot with fashion magazine Elle. The team, handpicked by Lawrence Sanchez, includes Katy Perry, Gayle King, and former NASA scientist Aisha Bowe. They will lift off on the 14th of April for a 10-minute flight aboard the New Shepard rocket. Interestingly, this will be Blue Origin's 11th human space flight, and while some previous passengers paid for their seats, it remains unclear who's footing the massive bill this time. Michael B. Jordan and director Ryan Coogler walked the red carpet in New York for the premiere of Sinners. Now, the thriller shows Jordan in a dual role as troubled twins who return home to face unimaginable evil. Jordan shared that playing both characters, in fact, required distinct preparation, including different mannerisms and even separate music playlists to get into their mindsets. He also spoke about his long-standing collaboration with Coogler, underlining their bond spans over a decade and that it brings a unique trust in their project. Sinners releases in theaters across America on the 18th of April. Hollywood's biggest names hit the red carpet at the CinemaCon in Las Vegas. Glenn Powell, Amanda de Armas, and Lindsay Lohan were among the stars promoting their upcoming films. Powell is set to star in The Running Man remake, de Armas in John Wick's spin-off Ballerina, and Lindsay Lohan in Freakier Friday. Now, the event also honored icons like Cheech Marin, Tommy Chong, and Channing Tatum with awards from Cinema United. Well, that's all we have for you this Friday. Take care and have a wonderful weekend.
One of the worst earthquakes hit Thailand recently, and the tragedy is still unfolding. You can see some sniffer dogs here. Authorities have told me that they had located some vital signs, but they have not been able to pull anyone out. Question as to how did the 4 Chinese nationals manage to get inside such a highly fortified area. They managed to get in. They were successful in getting some 32 documents that established that Chinese connection to this site. It's also about a larger conspiracy that could be at hand, whether the Chinese materials were substandard. All of that will have to be investigated.
In In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
When we spoke the last time you were in India, you did mention that you've actually spent more time in India than...
It comes at a time when protests have also been seen. We've been seeing protests in the state of Tamil Nadu that's been called by actor-turned-politician Vijay as well. And, this is in regard to protests now. We're seeing protests taking place also in the state of Gujarat.
Well, of course, one has to keep in mind that this is a non-BJP ruled state in West Bengal. Trinamool Congress is in power. And as we were getting in the voices from the protests, they did say that this is going to impact the BJP regime. It's going to impact the center because they will not get the support from the minority community after the passage of this bill. And they are, of course, raising their voice against the center for bringing in these amendments and for making the alterations in the Waqf properties and the Waqf board. So the protest here in West Bengal, of course, coming out against the Waqf bill, just as the Trinamool Congress has done in the parliament. They have voted against the Waqf bill in both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Trinamool Congress MP Kalyan Banerjee, while speaking in the Lok Sabha, said that this is an anti-constitutional move. It is an attempt to divide and rule the people on the basis of religion. The rights that have been given to the minority community under the Waqf bill earlier in 1995 has been snatched away through these amendments, is what the Trinamool Congress has said in the parliament. And that is the line that the ruling party here in West Bengal has taken, because at the end of the day, Mamata Banerjee, of course, will be gaining momentum from this. Anything that goes against the BJP will benefit the Trinamool Congress here, because one can't overlook the fact that the state of West Bengal goes in for elections early next year, and the BJP is the strongest contender of the Trinamool Congress here in West Bengal. So every issue, just like the SSC verdict yesterday, it was a big setback for the Mamata Banerjee government and something that the BJP has been using to target her. Similarly, Waqf is an important issue that the Trinamool Congress is using.
Shri, just stay with us. We'll be back. Let's just cut across to Prime Minister Modi, who is in Thailand, of course, on the sidelines of the BIMSTEC summit. He did, of course, meet with Mohammad Yunus, and now the Prime Minister is also expected to be meeting with the Prime Minister of Nepal. There you can see the Prime Minister at a temple in Bangkok, and of course this is after the being part of the BIMSTEC summit. Do remember that he did meet with the leader of Bangladesh, and what we did here is the outcome of that meeting is Prime Minister Modi has encouraged discussions on mutually benefiting talks as far as the two nations are concerned, and of course highlighting India's desire to forge a positive and constructive relationship when it comes to Bangladesh. This is a meeting that took place of Prime Minister Modi and Mohammad Yunus on the sidelines of the summit. And of course, a lot of speculation was rife in regard to the meeting of the two leaders because of the remarks that were made of Mohammad Yunus in regard to the northeastern states being landlocked. That is what he had said while showing his closeness to China. So this, of course, has come, during that summit. Of course, on the sidelines, bilateral meeting was also held with Myanmar's senior general, expressing his condolences for the loss of life and assuring assistance when it comes to India in order to aid Myanmar in its search for the missing people. Do remember the earthquake that has claimed over 3,000 lives, and Prime Minister Modi there assuring all kind of assistance that will be provided from India in making sure that all kind of assistance is provided for. So the Prime Minister there at Thai temple in Bangkok. The Prime Minister is going to be meeting with the Prime Minister of Nepal, and later in the evening the Prime Minister is going to be departing for Sri Lanka. So Prime Minister Modi there in Thailand right after the summit there, at that temple in Thailand. Of course, religion is a part of Prime Minister Modi's, visit to Thailand. This is a 3-day visit. Prime Minister Modi got there yesterday. He did meet with the Prime Minister as well as a Thai king yesterday. There was a dinner that was hosted where Prime Minister Modi was seated next to the Prime Minister of Nepal as well as the interim, this is in regard to the interim government, and we are talking about the Chief Advisor, Mohammed Yunus. And here you can see visuals, these are live visuals coming on your screen of Prime Minister Modi's visit to a temple in Thailand while meeting with the Buddhist monks. And this is Prime Minister's message in regard to that meeting with Mohammed Yunus, saying that, avoid any kind of rhetoric. The Prime Minister has spoken about, avoiding rhetorics when it comes to the environment and wants a constructive relationship. And these are the remarks in the backdrop of the northeastern states being landlocked. That is the comment that was made by Mohammed Yunus. Let's just get you Prime Minister Modi's rhetoric in regard to the message for Bangladesh after meeting with Mohammed Yunus. And this is what the Ministry of External Affairs had to say in regard to that meeting of the two leaders in the backdrop of the landlocked row. Those are the remarks that were made. We have my colleague Ghazali joining us on the phone line. Ghazali, take us to the message that has been put out by the Ministry of External Affairs. Of course, while talking about forging a mutual partnership and a relationship with the neighboring country, he has also spoken about the rhetoric when it comes to environment, and to avoid any kind of rhetorics is what the Prime Minister has put out that message when it comes to Bangladesh.
Yeah, Prime Minister Modi said that India's support for democratic, stable, peaceful and progressive and inclusive Bangladesh is something which India stands for. And he also said that that any rhetoric that vitiates the environment is best avoided. Now, we know that since Sheikh Hasina was to be when she was facing all this rebellion and protest by students and protesters there, suddenly that entire protest last year in August turned into an anti-India rhetoric. And all this while, since Mr. Yunus has taken over the charge in Bangladesh as chief advisor, attacks on Hindu minorities as well as rhetoric against India has been on a sharp rise. And this is something which has only led to the deterioration of relations between India and Bangladesh. And Prime Minister outlined that fact that these kind of rhetorics which spoils the atmosphere, which spoils the relations between the two countries, and which vitiates the environment should be best avoided. And Prime Minister went on to say that those issues which have a long-standing dispute between the two countries, including the border management or illegal, you can say, all those smuggling of arms and drugs and other counterfeit currencies from Bangladeshi side should be strictly dealt with. Strict enforcement of the border management issue should be taken care of. And Prime Minister also said that India's concerns over the safety and security of minorities is still a priority for India, and India will keep reminding Bangladesh to take care of the Hindu citizens or the minority citizens of the country who are facing persecution there.
Right, of course, Ghazali, this really comes in the backdrop of what was really said in regard to Mohammed Yunus during his recent visit to China, remarking that India's northeastern states are landlocked and had no way to reach out to the ocean, presenting Bangladesh as a primary gateway for the region's maritime access while developing its closeness to China. Thank you so much, Ghazali, for joining us with those details. Let's just go across now to Kolkata, where my colleague Shriyashi is joining us from the streets of Kolkata, where a protest is taking place against the passage of the Waqf Bill in both the houses. There you can see the number of people gathering right after Friday prayers against the passage of the Waqf Bill. This is in regard to we are seeing protests not just in Kolkata but also in different parts of the country, from Gujarat as well as in Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu, it's the TVK actor turned politician Vijay, who has also called for protests, and demonstrations have been seen since early this morning. Now we have people in Kolkata gathering right after the Friday prayers, echoing sentiments in regard to the Waqf Bill that has got its nod from both the houses. And the demands are being made for that bill to be repealed. And that is also the sentiment that is being echoed by the TMC. It is Mamata Banerjee that is saying that this passage of the Waqf Bill is going to divide the country, and this is a policy of divide and rule of the BJP. That is how the TMC is looking at the passage of the Waqf Bill. Shashi joining us from the streets of Kolkata. Shashi, this is supposed to be a peaceful protest. That is what they said. This is going to be like the farmer protest, which is going to be absolutely peaceful. Take us through, what is really happening on the streets at the moment.
Well, where we are reporting from is a crucial junction in Kolkata. It's a 7-point crossing. There are 7 junctions, 7 roads that lead up to this junction. And here in Kolkata's Park Circus, after the Friday press, protesters had taken to the street on one side of the road to protest against the Waqf amendments. But now essentially they have blocked the main road to raise slogans against the Modi government, protesting against the Waqf bills that have been passed in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. We will try and get in some word from the people who have come out in large numbers. वक्फ को लेके जो मेन मुद्दे हैं जो आप लोग प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं वो क्या-क्या मुद्दा है? टॉप 3 मुद्दा बोलिए आप।
हम लोग को ये फैसला हम लोग को मंजूर नहीं है, सबसे पहला चीज़। और हम लोग ये कहना चाहते हैं कि जो हम लोगों का वक्फ बोर्ड का ज़मीन जो दिया हुआ है, जो मदरसे के लिए या कब्रिस्तान के लिए, वही हम लोग का हक में वही फैसला होना चाहिए। इसके खिलाफ हम लोग जाए, अगर होगा तो हम लोग सब मिलकर आवाज़ उठाएंगे, प्रोटेस्ट करेंगे।
ये मेन मुद्दा हम लोग का वक्फ बोर्ड का जो है जगह, उसका मुद्दा है। और ये मुद्दा जो है, ये जो पास किया सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, मोदी गवर्नमेंट, वो ठीक नहीं है।
क्या जो है अभी करंट वक्त में जो है और
करंट
चेंजेस लाया है?
करंट वर्ड में बहुत चेंजेस लाया है, जो चेंजेस हम लोग को पसंद नहीं है। पहला नंबर, ये जो कमेटी बनाया लास्ट में जो दिखाया कि 10 आदमी का कमेटी बनेगा, उस कमेटी के अंदर में तो आपके कमेटी के अंदर में हमारा कोई आदमी नहीं है। इतना दिन से कभी हम लोग प्रोटेस्ट नहीं किया कि आपके कमेटी के अंदर, मंदिर के अंदर में चाहिए, गुरुद्वारा में चाहिए, कहीं भी चाहिए, नहीं चाहिए हमको। हम लोग क्यों, आपका धर्म है आप अपना करो, फिर मेरे बोर्ड के अंदर में आपका आदमी क्यों आएगा? ये एक नहीं, बहुत सारा मिल कर के है। ये मस्जिद के ऊपर में हमला आए दिन, कब्रिस्तान के ऊपर में, ये क्या आप लोग कर रहा है? पूरा यूपी के अंदर का, यूपी में बोलने से इस वक्त 80% जगह ये फैसला होने से पहले से ही इन लोग दखल करके रखा है।
So they are unhappy with the amendments that have been brought in, the Waqf amendment by the centre. And their main point is, of course, the Waqf board, which now essentially is likely to have a non-Muslim member. They are not agreeing to that point. And the other is that there's also a Waqf board, there's a Waqf tribunal that looks into the discrepancies when it comes to land. But now, with the new rules that have come into place, they can move the High Court against any land dispute that occurs out of this Waqf tribunal. Of course, the new rule also will ensure that all the Waqf properties are registered under the centre. That registration has to be completed in a certain period of time. So, of course, these are the amendments that have been brought in by the centre, and the people here are not happy with this, and they're still holding these placards saying that they reject the Waqf bill. Of course, in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, the bill has been passed. It's only the president's assent left before it becomes the law. But of course, today what we are seeing is protest against the amendments that has been brought in by the centre. But here also in West Bengal, the Trinamool Congress government has voted against the passage of this bill. The Chief Minister here has, of course, said Mamata Banerjee has come out against the Waqf bill. What the Chief Minister has said that this is not only anti-constitutional, but it also attempts to divide and rule the people of the country. So the Trinamool Congress government here in West Bengal, while keeping its views in the parliament, Trinamool Congress MP Kalyan Banerjee was representing the party in the discussion that took place in the Lok Sabha, and in that he has clearly put out not only the legal aspects of it, what were the norms so far, the 1995 Waqf bill that had taken shape, and what are the amendments that have been brought campaign now in the parliament. So the Trinamool Congress government had raised their voice, calling it anti-constitutional and also saying that it was a divide and rule policy of the centre. And the people of West Bengal, of course, not happy with these amendments that have been brought in. They say that the Waqf board so far has been controlled by their people, and now with a non-Muslim coming into the Waqf board, this is against their norms, this is against their religious practice. What is Waqf? For our viewers to just understand what Waqf is, these are donations that are made for the upliftment of the society. It can be in form of money, it can be in form of land, but the main contentious points over here is that they don't want any of these amendments to come in because they fear that the Waqf board will take away their hold on these Waqf land, the lands which are controlled by the Waqf board so far. So of course they are raising slogans against the centre, they are raising their voice against the amendments that have been brought, and they want the law to be rolled back. And of course, these are the voices that are coming in from Kolkata. Here, they are of course protesting against what is happening in the parliament. Back to you.
Right, Shri, of course, visuals on our screen of the kind of protests that's taking place in the country. We're talking about protests in Kolkata, also protests taking place in Gujarat. We also have protests taking place in Tamil Nadu, called by actor turned politician TVK, also demanding the repeal of this law. Of course, this is something that, Sonia Gandhi has also been speaking against it. Of course, the BJP are demanding an apology from the leader in regard to this. Of course, Kiran Rijiju has accused the opposition parties of trying to mislead the people, saying that this will only benefit crores of people from the Muslim community. But of course, this is in regard to the Muslim leaders and the opposition parties saying that the bill is unconstitutional and infringes on the rights of the Indians Muslim minority community. Shri, take us through what's happening on the grounds of the streets of Kolkata. You're speaking with the people protesting and revolting against this passage.
Well, the protesters here, of course, want their voices to be heard. I will ask the protesters here what are the contentions that they have, what is that they are protesting against. सर आप बताइए, एक सेकंड, एक एक करके पूछूंगी मैं. आप बताइए जो बिल लाई गई है यहाँ पे आप लोग का मेन 10 मिनट हो गया उधर में चल के सर अभी आइए साइड में आइए ओके. आपका जो मेन पॉइंट्स है जो बिल लाया गया है पार्लियामेंट में, लोकसभा में और राज्यसभा में, आपका जो मेन पॉइंट्स है आप वो रखिए कि आपके अभी का जो वक्फ बोर्ड है कैसे चलता है और ये बिल आने के बाद ये जब लॉ बन जाएगा कैसे बदलाव आएगा उसमें और क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा इस पे आप लोगों को. ये
मैं एक चीज में बता रहा हूँ, 500 क्या 1000% अगर ये सेंट्रल में जो सरकार बैठी है मुसलमान को भरोसा नहीं है, कभी नहीं भरोसा सकता. इसलिए मुसलमान का हर एक हुकूक को उन्होंने छीना है, नमाज से लेकर के हिजाब से लेकर के खाने पीने से लेकर के हर एक चीज में, मंदिर मस्जिद जकात से किसी चीज में इन्होंने रायत नहीं दी है. सारे मुसलमान को हुकूक को उन्होंने छुड़ा है. अमित शाह से लेकर मोदी से लेकर के सब बेशरम है, क्योंकि एक ही चीज दिखी जाती है, सिर्फ हिंदू. मुसलमान को किसी के बारे में बोला नहीं जाता. मीडिया वाले भी चुपचाप है. हम यही चाहते हैं मीडिया वाले आप दिखाएं इन्होंने जो एक धार्मिक है, जो एक वक्फ बिल है, मुसलमान की मजबूती है, ताकत है, वो जमीन है, वो सरकार का क्या राइट है. सरकार की बहुत सारी जमीन है, आप अंबानी को दीजिए, अदानी को दीजिए, उसके बारे में मुसलमान नहीं बोलिए, लेकिन मुसलमान को हुकूक को, जमीन को, वो सारे चीज को लेकर के आप किसी और को देना चाह रहे हैं.
We will come back to you in just a minute. And protests taking place in Kolkata against the passage of the Waqf Bill in both the houses, and it's not just in Kolkata but also we're seeing protests taking place in Gujarat. The Congress leaders also in Delhi have been demanding the repeal of this. In fact, it was Sonia Gandhi terming the Waqf Bill a brazen assault on the constitution, accusing the BJP of seeking to keep the society in a state of permanent polarization, while it is Kiran Rijiju saying that this will benefit the Muslim community at large. With that, we're slipping into a short break, coming up with a whole lot more on the other side.
From Bangkok to Colombo, Prime Minister Modi's 3-day mission to redefine India's global influence. Economic hawks Richard Rosso and Amitindu Palit decode the India-US tariff standoff. And locked up but not forgotten, 10,000 Indians behind bars and New Delhi's fierce fight to get them back home.
All this and more only on India Sense with me, Gauri Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
This baby bear is terrified. Torn from her mother's paws at a tender age. They will force her to live alone in a tiny, filthy cage, like so many bears driven mad by loneliness, rubbing their wounds raw against the bars, suffering cruelly day after day, year after year, just for people's entertainment. Four Paws found little Potap crammed into a tiny, squalid cage. He'd been there for almost 9 years, lonely and isolated. There are so many more young bears who need your help. Please call 0800 038 0455 or text CUB3 to 78866 and give £2 a month to help rescue them. Every month, your £2 could help us free more bears, help give bears the veterinary care they need, and help them live happy, healthy lives in the freedom of our natural sanctuaries. Call 0800 038 0455 or text CUB3 to 78866 and give £2 a month and help Four Paws free bears from agonizing torture. Please, don't leave these bears to suffer for a single day more.
It feels good knowing that your future's in hand. Evlo can offer you a loan from £1,000 to £15,000. Get your conditional decision in minutes.
Did we?
Yes, we did.
Professional monitoring?
Activated. This summer, leave your worries behind. Protect what matters to you with Simply Safe Home Security. Systems start from under £200 with a professional monitoring plan. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Will you tell me if I'm flying to Delhi to New York, can I take a stopover in Dubai to explore, or do you think it'll be too hectic?
Looking for holiday and flight recommendations in strange places? Don't. Just come to Brighton. Brighton Travel, making travel brighter.
With Post Office Over 50s life cover, enjoy peace of mind knowing your family will receive a guaranteed payout when you're gone. UK resident 50 to 80, your guaranteed acceptance. No health checks and from just £1.15 a week. Plus free 24/7 GP access with the health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive a £125 gift card for amazon.co.uk, Tesco or M&S. Visit postoffice.co.uk/over50s.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
Welcome back. Let's get you the very latest, and this is in regard to, in fact, getting you the latest when it comes to the NEET controversy in the state of Tamil Nadu, with a huge setback as far as the government in Tamil Nadu is concerned. So this is the exemption that wasn't allowed despite the Tamil Nadu government providing all necessary clarifications. The government has rejected the exemption from NEET, calling it a blackface in federalism and calling for an all-party meeting. So this is MK Stalin there saying that the struggle will continue, the fight will continue. So Tamil Nadu's battle for exemption from the NEET exam, the All India entrance test for admission to medical courses, has suffered a huge setback has President Draupadi Murmu rejected a bill to exclude the state from its purview and allow its use as far as the class 12th marks are concerned instead. So MK Stalin is saying that this is basically a blackface in federalism, and has now, said that the fight will continue and this is not going to be the end of it. He's in fact called for an all-party meeting in order to continue the fight when it comes to NEET exams, saying that the state has been doing so well as far as the medical subject is concerned. In fact, Tamil Nadu is rated as the medical capital of the country. So in order to know more on this, let's just go across to our guests joining us. We have Salem Dharanidharan, spokesperson of the DMK, joining us. We also have Dr. S.G. Surya, the State Secretary of Tamil Nadu BJP, joining us. Dr. Surya, over to you first. MK Stalin is saying that despite all clarifications that the government has provided, yet the centre has rejected the exception when it comes to the NEET exam, calling it a blackface in federalism. Your reaction?
See, the promise made by the current Deputy Chief Minister Udayanithi Stalin that their first signature after DMK forming government in the year 2021 is to scrap and eradicate NEET. So the question people of Tamil Nadu are asking is, it has been 4 years now, and why the NEET has not been scrapped as promised by the Deputy Chief Minister Udayanithi Stalin. Because people are asking these questions, they are doing all the gimmicks. They very well know that this cannot be decided based on the legislative actions. The matter is pending in the Supreme Court. If the DMK is so worried, they should urge the Supreme Court to take up the matter that is pending for so many months and years now. Instead of doing a judicial fight, doing a political fight just because they know there is no solution to this. This is not the wish of the BJP government to implement NEET. The NEET was brought in based on a Supreme Court order which was given in the year 2016. It was not in the BJP's manifesto to bring NEET. The Supreme Court said we implemented because all the state governments agreed to it except the state of Tamil Nadu. So I believe Tamil Nadu is in India, so they'll have to adhere when all the states are on board.
Mr. Dharanidharan also with us. The argument is that the exam has widened the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged aspirants. Your thoughts?
See, it's very obvious that any entrance exam is antithesis to the concept of merit. It's not just a creation in Tamil Nadu, but across the world, political scientists researching on merit. In fact, Professor Sanders from Harvard has also written a book, Tyranny of Merit, where he says the parental income, parental education, and generational wealth is directly proportional to scores in entrance exam. Before NEET, how was a student selected in Tamil Nadu? Was through school marks. So school marks is the best marker for merit. If the poorer a child is or rural child is, the coaching center facilities are lower. Time for study is lower. So when there's one more exam, what does it mean is that apart from school, they'll also study for an additional exam. And many of the coaching centers, the fees is about 3 lakhs to 6 lakhs a year, right? Which is nearly twice or 4 times the per capita GDP of this country.
Just a minute, Dr. Surya, MK Stalin has reiterated that the state's decade-old medical admission system had been instrumental in producing some of the best doctors in the country. Shouldn't that be considered?
So do they mean to say the current batch of students who are studying MBBS are not the best? See, the previous system, which follows the school-based admission, was also very, very discriminatory only to the rich students. How many government school students could get into government medical colleges when the previous system was in place? Every year, less than 10 students went to government colleges. Today, with the 7.5% quota, more than 700 students get into government medical colleges from the government schools.
Right.
Can they give empirical data?
And Mr. Dharanidharan, thank you so much for speaking with us here on NDTV. I'm afraid we're completely out of time. With that, it's a wrap on this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching.
Our first year as a family flew by. And now, I want to make sure he'll be financially protected for all his birthdays to come. That's why I'm calling Smart Insurance.
Hi, how can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote for family life insurance.
OK, you can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000 depending on your age.
That's great.
If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought. And could help my wife pay off the mortgage.
And with our Smart Family Guarantee, you'll have peace of mind.
That's good to know.
You'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cashback on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0808 141 5855 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
For Manu, every step is agony. But he's forced to carry heavy loads and bricks up narrow, steep flights of stairs, hour after hour, day after day. Life can be cruel and short for hard-working donkeys like Manu. With little food, water, or rest, they must keep going no matter what. Crude harnesses cut into their flesh. Horrific wounds and injuries go untreated. And when they've given all they can, many will simply be abandoned. You could help us treat more sick and injured donkeys. We won't stop until each one has a good life. But we can't do it without you. So please call 0800 035 9305 or text STEP 6 to 78866 and give £2 a month. Your help will be the first step towards a better life for brave donkeys like Monu.
Now I'm retired, I can spend more time with my grandson. I'm proud of him and want to help any way I can. Which reminds me.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote.
No problem. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee. With 100% of claims having been paid, we guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK.
Well, that's good to know.
UK residents aged 50 to 80 are guaranteed to be accepted. Depending on your age, your loved ones can get a cash payout up to £10,000.
And that money can help with my funeral costs or even be used as a gift. I'll do it.
Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card and free 24/7 GP advice and health services.
Thanks, Mum, for everything.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free quote today, call our UK team on 0800 158 552 or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
Prime Minister Modi meets with Bangladesh advisor Mohammad Yunus at the BIMSTEC summit in Thailand, raising violence against minorities as an issue. Avoiding rhetoric is what Prime Minister Modi has told Mohammad Yunus. And a showdown over Sonia Gandhi's Waqf remarks. The BJP says that Sonia Gandhi must apologize because those comments are wrong, while the Congress is defending those remarks of Sonia Gandhi. Protests taking place against the Waqf Bill in Kolkata as well as Ahmedabad along with Tamil Nadu. These protests, the protesters are saying that they need to take the bill back. And a setback for the government in Tamil Nadu. This is the centre has now gone ahead and nixed the exemption bill when it comes to the NEET exam. Stalin says this is a blackface in federalism. And a man has died in Karnataka by suicide, blaming a Congress MLA. This is soon after he was arrested on charges of making comments about the Congress MLA. JNK blowback on the Waqf Bill. Srinagar revolts on the new Waqf Bill. Well, this is the resolution that erupted in the Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir. The Very good afternoon. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Baba. Let's get to your top story. This is Kiran Rijiju reacting to comments that were made by Sonia Gandhi, who said that they were bulldozed as far as the passage of the Waqf Bill in the lower house is concerned. But Kiran Rijiju saying that we followed all the processes and the house functioned till 4 o'clock in the morning. And then you say that the bill was bulldozed on us. We say that history was made, and rather appreciating, you are saying that we are bulldozing the bill. This is not right, are the words of Kiran Rijiju in response to the comments that have been made by Sonia Gandhi. Do remember Kiran Rijiju and the BJP also there demanding an apology for the remarks that have been made by Sonia Gandhi in context of the passage of the Waqf Bill. Let's listen in.
इतना मेहनत करके रात देर रात तक बैठ करके नियम नीति पालन करके पारित होने का बाद भी अगर कहता है कि नियम पालन नहीं हुआ और बुलडोज किया वो सही नहीं। और डिवीजन हुआ और अमेंडमेंट संशोधन रिकॉर्ड मूव किया, आप सब सुन रहे थे। तो इतना नियम नीति पालन करके अमेंडमेंट एक्सेप्ट करके नियम के तहत जब बिल पारित हुआ, यहाँ तो रिकॉर्ड क्रिएट किया। मैंने आपको बता दिया, इतना चर्चा आज तक हुआ ही नहीं संसदीय इतिहास में। शाबाशी देना चाहिए सब मेंबर को, इतना समय दे करके हमने बिल पे चर्चा किया और पारित किया।
गलत बात है। सुबह के 3 बजे तक हम लोग थे लोकसभा में, 12 बजे शुरू हुआ। सुबह के 4 बजे तक थे राज्यसभा में। इतनी लंबी बहस तो मैंने देखी ही नहीं है। खूब चर्चा हुई, आप लोगों ने देश में दिखाया टीवी पर, देश ने देखा। लेकिन बहुत विनम्रता से मुझे सोनिया गांधी से एक बात पूछनी है कि आपके पुत्र राहुल गांधी क्यों नहीं बोले और आपकी बेटी आदरणीय प्रियंका जी हाउस में क्यों नहीं आई?
इसमें गलत क्या है? आपने कल क्या आप संख्या बल के आधार के ऊपर जो राइट टू इक्वलिटी की बात है, जो सबको बराबरी के अधिकार की बात है, आपने तो बुलडोज कर दिया। तो ये बुलडोज ही तो क्या है? आप अपने से असहमत लोगों को क्या उनके अधिकारों से वंचित कर देंगे? आपका तो 400 पार का सपना पूरा हुआ नहीं, लेकिन कांग्रेस ने तो 400 पार कर कभी ये सोचने की भी बात नहीं करी कि वो देश के अंदर रहने वाले किसी भी लोगों को जो उनके विचारों से असहमत हैं, उनके विचारों को बुलडोज करने का काम करें। आपने तो किया है। नहीं, चर्चा तो हुई सर, चर्चा तो हुई है, चर्चा में तो चर्चा ही होती है ना। नहीं, चर्चा आपने करा क्या है? संख्या बल के आधार पर बुलडोज तो कर दिया सब।
2013 में भी तो ऐसे ही हुआ था, फिर संख्या बल के
क्या किया था? क्या हुआ 2013 में? क्या 2013 में किसको बुलडोज किया था बताइए आप? कांग्रेस ने किस सरकार के अंदर रहते हुए किसके अधिकारों को उसके अधिकार से वंचित करने का काम किया? आपने आदिवासी कर करके क्या कौन आदिवासी वक्त के लिए लक्षद्वीप के लोगों को उनके अधिकार से जो धार्मिक स्वतंत्रता का उनका अधिकार है उसको आपने वंचित कर दिया।
Aishwarya joining us to get us more on this. Aishwarya, Sonia Gandhi, they're claiming that the bill was bulldozed through the lower house. And, even other comments that were made by her, has the BJP demanding an apology from the leader.
Well, that's right. Massive showdown between the opposition and the treasury benches over Sonia Gandhi's statement. It is, of course, the Congress party who is defending Sonia Gandhi and stating that this is bulldozing. Just because they have the numbers, they have bulldozed this bill, and it is the number game which have prevailed. The independence as far as the religious freedom is concerned, that has been taken away, and the bill had been passed in the lower house. But it is the Bharatiya Janata Party who had hit out at the Congress leader Sonia Gandhi and stated that it is, of course, the discussions which have taken place, a historic one indeed, with record-breaking time, 12 hours in the Lok Sabha, 13 hours in the Rajya Sabha. The processes were followed. All the amendments that were moved by the opposition benches. 3 times division took place late in the night. And now itself, even after that, if the opposition thinks that the government is bulldozed, then certainly they don't believe in the democracy. And also, it is Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju went on to say that it is the democracy, whichever government has their numbers in their hand, that particular government ultimately wins the trust votes in the House, and therefore the reason perhaps on one side she should appreciate the entire members of all the political parties who participated in the historic debate that took place both in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. She is stating that the bill had been bulldozed is completely condemnable statement as far as the Treasury benches are concerned. We saw Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla also giving that statement, condemning the statement of what Sonia Gandhi had stated in the upper house of the parliament. But certainly amid the ruckus, both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha adjourned sine die, and now we will be witnessing such war of words erupting outside the parliament in the upcoming next few days as well.
Right, thank you so much, Aishwarya, for joining us with those details. The BJP there, saying that Sonia Gandhi made those remarks as far as the Waqf Bill is concerned, terming the Waqf Bill a brazen assault on the constitution, accusing the BJP of seeking to keep the society in a state of permanent polarization. And we're seeing these sentiments being echoed on the streets of Kolkata. Protests have erupted in Kolkata over the passage of the Waqf Bill in both the houses. Large gatherings have been seen on the streets, and they are protesting against the passage of the bill. And it is not just in Kolkata. We're seeing similar scenes playing out also on the streets of Ahmedabad in Gujarat, while it was also the political party TVK of actor Vijay also demanding a repeal of the contentious bill. This is in regard to Vijay, the actor, also demanding the repeal while protesting in the state of Tamil Nadu. Here visuals on your screen of the protest that is taking place at the moment. Right after the Friday press, a large gathering of people has been seen carrying placards, and they have in fact said that this is going to be an absolutely a peaceful protest. So they are saying this is going to be a peaceful protest while putting forward their demands in regard to the sentiments that they are feeling at the moment in regard to the passage of the Waqf Bill. The amendment bill, they feel, is a one-sided oppression of a particular community. So they're taking to the streets demanding that the government reconsider the passage of this bill. Shriyashi joining us from the streets of Kolkata. Shriyashi, get us a sense of exactly where is it that this large gathering that we see of people on the streets of Kolkata, where are you at, and what are the demands that are being made by the protesters?
Well, we're getting these visuals for our viewers from Kolkata here in Park Circus. This is in the heart of the city, in south of Kolkata, and this is a 7-point junction. So 7 roads basically lead up to this point. It's an arterial road here in Kolkata, a very crucial junction here in the city. And after the Friday press, this area is Muslim dominated, and there are several mosques around this area. And after the Friday press, there was a call for protests against the Waqf amendment. And as you can see on your screens, protesters have come out in large numbers here. They're standing on tempo trucks. The roads essentially leading up to the mosque has been completely blocked and taken over by them, keeping their voice, keeping their viewpoints against the amendment on record. And on the other hand, a bit of a sticky situation for the police, which is trying to ensure there is no untoward law and order incident. You can see there the protesters are flocking in. They are raising their voice. You can see how they have gathered at the center of this junction. And of course, it's a regular day. It's a regular day of the week. Offices are open, schools are open, and this, of course, being a headache for those who are commuting through Park Circus in Kolkata at this point in time because of these protests, which were initially restricted to one side of the road, but now has been taken over this entire junction in Kolkata called Park Circus. But of course, the crux of these protests is the Waqf Bill. The protesters say that they have certain inhibitions against the rules that have been altered in the Waqf Bill by the central government. Remember, the Trinamool Congress here in West Bengal has been vehemently opposing the Waqf Bill. Trinamool Congress MP Kalyan Banerjee, while taking part in that debate, in that discussion in the Lok Sabha, has called it anti-constitutional, has called it an attempt of the Modi government to divide and rule. And here we see the people from the minority community coming out in large numbers. They have certain reservations regarding the amendments that have been brought in by the central government. Point number one being that the Waqf board will now essentially have a non-Muslim person heading it as well, which was not the case earlier. this Waqf board was essentially controlled by the clerics and the Muslim community itself. Now to tell our viewers what a Waqf is, these are essentially religious donations made, can be in form of money, can be in the form of land, and then these are used for social upliftment of the society. So on these lands that are donated to the Waqf, there can be hospitals, there can be schools, there can be orphanages, and for social services basically. But now they feel that now that the new amendments have been brought in, the centre is going to take away that land right from them. That is their inhibition, and that is why they are protesting. Now that the Waqf Bill has been passed in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, what essentially remains is the assent from the President for it to become a law. So in that case, they say they will move the Supreme Court and they will fight against this law, and they will demand for a rollback, because this law is something that the Muslim community here in West Bengal is refusing to accept. They are saying that it goes against their religious practice, and this is something that the Modi government is doing to usurp land. This is their allegation. But Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has come out in support of the Muslim community, saying that till she is in charge of the state, no one is going to touch them, no one is going to touch their land. That is an assurance that she has given to them, saying that it might be a BJP plot, but she will ensure that they are kept outside from the Waqf land or the Waqf board. But what essentially needs to also be informed to the viewers is that West Bengal is gearing up for state assembly elections early next year. So of course this has become a hot political topic ahead of that election, where the BJP and Trinamool Congress are exchanging political words over this issue. Back to you.
Right.